I believe that before and afters can be a better ROI than any other form of marketing, and I've got proof to show that.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Technology of Beauty, where I have the opportunity to interview the movers and shakers of the beauty business, and today is certainly no exception. Today in the studios here in lovely Manhattan Beach, California, we have Candace Crow of Candace Crow Designs. Welcome, Candace.
Thank you, Grant.
Thank you so much. I've been dying to do this interview with you. I saw you at the Aesthetic Society meeting in Austin, and it's so great to have you here. Where'd you fly in from?
Orlando, just a few hours ago, and I'll be going back.
What time did you get up this morning to fly here?
3 a.m.
3 a.m. And you came to LAX, and here you are in beautiful Manhattan Beach. Thank you so very much.
Grant, it's really truly an honor and a privilege to be here, so thank you.
Thank you. It's an honor for us to have you in the studio and to share your story with all of our viewers and listeners on the various podcasts. So for those of you listening and watching right now, be sure to subscribe, especially if you're on YouTube right now. Click the subscribe button and stay in tune with us, and that way we can send you special information. You can go to also the technologyofbeauty.com, and we'll send you information before it's out in public. So thank you very much. Candace, where are you from?
Oh my goodness, that's your first question, right?
Yep. Where'd you grow up?
A little town of 500 in northeast Iowa.
Northeast Iowa. Okay, what's the name of the town? I'm curious.
It's Delhi.
Delhi,
Iowa. Mm-hmm. And my father manufactured construction equipment, and he was the largest employer for miles and miles around. He employed 150 people.
Wow.
Out of a town of 500. And I grew up with a prototype shop behind our house. And my mom was an artist, a portrait artist, and still is. 92, my dad just sold his company. 92.
Unbelievable.
And he still works today. My mom still teaches art class. And there happened to be a little dammed up river just 2 miles outside of town that had an active water ski team. And so by age 11, I grew up water skiing and stuff, but by age 11, I was begging my parents, I want to go over the ski jump. Please, Mom, please, Dad, let me go jump. And it's a 5-foot ramp, you know.
Right.
And finally, at age 11, they let me do it, and I was hooked. That was kind of the beginning of my life.
Is that right? So where'd you go to college?
Well, that's a good question.
Okay.
I started out in Switzerland. I got to go to a school, a fashion and art school in Switzerland. Went to various different places, and then eventually ended up water skiing for Florida State and graduated from Florida State.
And you were a competitive water skier?
Oh yeah, I was big time. Yeah, world class, or at least U.S. class. You know, one of the top performing women.
So what was your degree at Florida State besides boys?
Oh, of course, it's art.
Art, of course.
Art, you know. So I got my start in marketing and advertising because my mom's an artist, a portrait artist, and my dad needed an ad agency to, place the ads and everything for his company. So that's 15% commission, right?
Okay.
So that 15% commission paid for all my college. So I was really kind of the ad agency. And so in order to help his company and pay for my college after, 8 or 9 different colleges.
8 or 9 colleges? You mean all around Switzerland before you came to Florida State?
Well, and even all around the United States. So I just kind of learned it was a way to travel, and then I needed to buckle down and get my degree, and so that's kind of what I ended up doing.
So were you on like the 6 or 7 year program?
Yes.
Yeah. I always call college the best 7 years of my life.
It was such a great experience, just getting to meet people and finding out what I was really good at and getting to water ski. And, I had, I had the perfect setup for this little art agency even. I had I was lucky enough for my art projects to have a black and white and color dark room right there on premise for where I lived, and just I got all the little bells and whistles for this little town of 500. This girl.
So when you graduated from college, though, did you start your own business right then?
I pretty much always had my own business from the get-go. I worked for my dad growing up. I started with my brother washing trucks for a dime a truck. Then the mail room, and then all the way up through the marketing department of his company. And I think it was probably age 16. He said, why don't you start your own company? And I didn't know what to start for a company. And he said, well, you know what, these beanbag chairs in animal shapes could be a really good company for you. Why don't you try something like that? So I knew how to sew. I made up some patterns and made these 6-foot, polar bears and panda bears. And he goes, well, now you got to figure out how to sell them. So he, in Iowa at that time, where do you go to sell these things? He said, well, why don't you take a trip into Chicago? Go to Neiman Marcus, and just look for the elevator that all the salespeople go up. So, So
were you hauling these?
We made a backpack and strapped this big bear to my back, and I get in this elevator with all these salespeople, at 16, 17. And I go up, and Neiman Marcus actually was interested.
I'll be darned.
I know. But, yeah, that really wasn't where I was going to end up. But I did sell a few of them, and I ended up finishing school instead of doing that.
Okay. And eventually you got into internet marketing, is that correct?
Yeah. I pounded the pavement with my portfolio in different areas of the country when my husband was getting his degree or I was getting my degree. I always had clients and projects, and my dad would say, don't come home till you get the job. So you just don't come home till you get the job, right? And so I learned that from a very early age, and growing up around that prototype shop, it just helped me to know how to think.
That's
and how
great.
How to invent things, or that kind of thinking, how to walk around a problem 3-dimensionally, see the front, the side, the back, and everything like that. I remember being in the engineering and just watching the engineers figure out how to draw something. At that time it was still the
drawing on paper.
Yeah. And so where were we?
Well, I want to know how you got to Candace Crow Designs and internet marketing. Was it in the 90s when you first got involved in internet marketing?
98, 95, 96. And then I got my first plastic surgery client in 99. Okay. And it was Debbie Boyd, Dr. Boyd, Karen Zupko, Murray Olson group,
Right.
And Debbie and I, his wife, would sit together and just kind of figure out marketing. And she showed me this video of a man in a white lab coat standing up talking to a breast augmentation patient. And I just was like, oh, are you kidding me? No, that's not how to do it. Let's figure this out, how to do it together. And so we came up with educational videos and kind of this informational kiosk in 2002. In 2002, that was called Revenue, and it was the first in the industry like it. It had a before and after gallery, it had quizzes, it had anatomy library that I drew, and you could sketch on them and everything like that. And then we have about 5 or 6 industry firsts like that. And I was just a single mom of 4 boys, and so I'd take the boys with me to conferences and this and that, and then Understand came along. And
wait, what's Understand?
Understand is a 3D animation of educational videos, and I'm walking by them in the booth. Oh, somebody's in my space, I've had this space all to myself, and then here there's Understand. And then in 2009, I think it was, TouchMD was in Seattle, and I walk by that booth, and there's 8 men standing selling TouchMD, and I'm going, okay. okay, we'd better reinvent ourselves. And little by little, we've kind of, over the years, reinvented ourselves with doing websites, digital marketing, and the biggest thing now, and has been for 11 years, is a passion for authentic marketing to patients that really help them. And for me, that's before and after photos. And really getting behind that. That was one of the number one requests from Revenue is, well, can't we just have a before and after gallery we can put on our website? And so, little by little, but we've been working on that. And
so do you find that's the most effective form of marketing, internet marketing, before and after pictures?
With the right tool, by a huge leap it is.
Okay.
With the right tool.
Before we get into that, are you primarily or exclusively in aesthetics, or do you dabble in other areas?
So we do have some dermatologists, we have some med spas. My daughter-in-law is a dentist, so we're going to be getting into that.
I was wondering about dental.
Getting into that. And, I have a love for beauty. That's just in me from, my mom and her portrait painting. And I love innovation, so you never know where the world's going to go for you.
So tell us about what you're doing at Candace Crowe, and in terms of before and after pictures, and what you've been doing over the last 7 years and where you're at today.
Sure. So once I realized that we needed to reinvent ourselves about 11, 12 years ago, and doctors were asking for, can't I manage my own before and after photos? Can't I upload them myself? And so we kind of developed a primitive tool for doctors to do that. And we had somebody on staff that was brilliant for 11 years that would just help us with this. And we'd ask him, can we do this with it? Can you do that with us? And he'd tell me, no. And then the next day he'd come back and say, you know what, I figured it out. And so we got really used to that. And it had Bragbook, we call it V1, had a social export tool. It had an image manipulator where you could ghost overlay an image so the before matches the after. It had so many really, really good features, but it was built 11 years ago, and it was kind of like an add-on. So 2 years ago, we decided we were going to rebuild it with modern architecture from the ground up. And I learned Agile. I'm learning Agile and Jira and all the software programs to really kind of...
You're actually learning it? Oh, my word.
You have to.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to. So we have a pretty good team. And so we started about 2 years ago building it. And then I ended up with breast cancer, so that kind of took us out of the loop for a while. And now I'm coming back, and we've released it. It's
and this is still called Bragbook.
We're calling it Bragbook V2. V2.
Okay, version 2.
Yeah, and it's
Bragbook. And tell us about the features of V2. I know it's modern. Yeah. It's 11 years ago was the first one.
Yeah.
And this is the last 2 years.
Oh,
what's the compelling differences of V2?
So, Bragbook is specifically built for aesthetic practices.
Okay.
So from the get-go, with you in mind, with patients in mind, I believe that before and afters can be a better ROI than any other form of marketing, and I've got proof to show that. Google Ads and everything. So think of driving your car without a dashboard. You wouldn't know how fast you're going. You'd just be guessing, right?
Yes.
So one of the new features in V2 is it comes with a dashboard. And you can have managers and then people that can publish. So a manager could upload images, save them as drafts. It has a quality score, so you know that you're using all the features right and you're doing the best quality post that you can. Just backing up a little bit, if you can make a post to Facebook, you can manage Bragbook. It's that easy. You just drag and drop, and it will tell you exactly what to do from there.
So these are images that the physician or the practice employees of the physician takes and has access to them, and then they put them on your Bragg Book V2.
Yeah. So the dashboard has, like I was saying, a quality score, watermark, case information, aspect ratios are the same, a few other things. And we can talk more about this later, but I want to introduce a quality score for taking photos.
Well, let's talk about it now.
Okay.
I'd love to hear about it. So what's a quality score?
The quality score, let me just back up just a little bit.
Okay, cool.
So since I've been in the industry for a long time, it went from albums of before and afters, sitting beside the practice manager or the doctor's wife, flipping through the books, telling stories, and pointing out different things. So they got instant feedback of what that patient was interested in or what could be done or not. And then the smartphone came along. And back in the day, you had quality standards for medically accurate before and after photos. Mm-hmm. Then this thing called the smartphone comes along. And anybody thinks they can take a picture now. And it's not medically accurate half of the time. Mm-hmm. It's a snap. And, a lot of the standards have just been tossed off. And that bothers me because it degrades the quality of our industry and the integrity. And if we could kind of get to this quality score, I think we could really make a bigger difference in our industry. And we're in a day where AI generated. I mean, Canva has face swapping.
So how does your technology eliminate that?
So we aren't getting into taking photos, but I have devised a quality score, and I've run it by, TouchMD and Snap and Tyler Terry, and they love the idea of it. Mm-hmm. And we can go more into that. But the quality score for posting and a before and after set would be, is it watermarked? Are the aspect ratios the same? Meaning, are the photos cropped evenly, and do they all line up and match in the gallery? Mm-hmm. That aspect ratio. Let's see.
Lighting.
Well, I can't control lighting in the gallery. I got to control that in the taking of the photo. Okay. Because minimal manipulation, like maybe there's only 3 different things that you do to manipulate that image, and then you verify that I've only rotated or cropped or whatever those are, so that you can really say that you've got an authentic, original before and after set that hasn't been artificially modified. Okay. Doesn't have filters on it. It's the real deal. Let's see. Case description's important because Google doesn't recognize nudity from, nipples, right? I mean, it's all nudity to Google unless you have case description and stuff like that. So there you go. That's a little bit about the quality score.
So your clients, your plastic surgery clients, the surgeons.
Yeah.
They hire you, Candace Crowe Design, and then they use this V2 on their websites?
Yeah.
Or where are they getting the best use of it?
Right now, websites, it's a plug-in. We've got it on a variety of websites. V1's on quite a few, but V2's just been rolling out a little bit slow. Uh-huh. We've got it on an Influx website, and we've got it on one of ours right now. And so... our clients log into this dashboard and they upload their photos, and it'll tell you, what to do to make that set a perfect set and get 100% quality score. Growing up in a rural town, you learn that money, you don't want to waste a dime, right? So I want the same for my clients. I don't want them to waste a dime. So I want them to know that if they don't get 100%, there's room for improvement. So coming back to the dashboard, a business owner or a practice owner can look at that dashboard and they can see uploads over time. They'll see the real-time analytics of how many views they're getting for their gallery. Mm-hmm. They'll get the 5 most favorited photos, and we'll get into what my favorites is later. The most popular drafts, quality score, and just some awards and stuff like that. But in 10 seconds, a business owner can know, I have 100% quality gallery that's working for me. It's produced X amount of leads in the last 60 days, and then you can export those leads and match them up to get your ROI.
Is this only available to people, surgeons or med spas that use your company or your business? You mentioned Influx a moment ago.
So
do you work with other marketing companies?
Yeah, in fact, some website companies have decided to use it exclusively because it offsets the cost of creating a website for them. They can charge $1,000 to $5,000 less for creating a website simply because they're using this tool.
Okay, so the tool is embedded into the website? It's
a piece of software that's a WordPress plugin.
Okay.
And so it installs on a website just like any WordPress plugin does. Mm-hmm. So RedSpot was actually the first ones that said, you know what, it's a no-brainer for us. We are so tired of dealing with before and after photos. They're a loss leader for us. We're just going to recommend it for all of our clients. So we started there, and then we go, oh, well, that's kind of cool. And then Firm Media, did I get that right? Yeah. Firm Media decided they wanted to use it on all of their clients. So we've been in the process of rolling it out to all of their clients. And so we have a kind of a resale agreement with some of these companies. And then Dagmar and Blue Shark has one, and there's a bunch of companies with one or two, Market Made, all of them know about it. It's just, sometimes they perceive it as
competitive.
Competitive because now I am empowering the practice it moves with them when they move providers. So that's a scary thing for some companies, and for other companies it's not. They go, oh man.
And what sort of changes do you see happening in that? Are you going to have a V3 that you can anticipate today? I'm sure you will, but
yeah,
are you already working on V3?
Well, we're working on 2.1.
Okay.
We got a few features we had in V1 that we haven't finished up in V2, but we have a lot more in V2 than we did in V1, so it's time to even just go on without. We don't have the social export tool ready yet, so it would be by the end of August.
Are you still designing websites?
Yes, but not unless that practice comes directly to us and says, we want you to do a website for us, because now we're working with website companies and we do not want to be a threat to them. This is where I want to be. I believe I can make a difference in our industry. I can improve the standard of before and afters, which will improve patient outcomes. And you and I will die one day, and I want to do something good for the industry.
Wait a second, we're dying? Okay, so
Not
you
for
have
a long
higher,
time.
loftier goal. You want to improve the aesthetics industry.
Do.
Okay, well that's very commendable, and that's wonderful. And you've always taken that position. You and I have been on various panels over the years debating certain things about websites, and I've always contended you have to be found first, and you've always said you'd have to be pretty first, and I say, yeah, you need to be pretty, but you need to be found first. Have you come around to my way of thinking at all?
I can't, Grant. It's just like when you've got a mom that's an artist and a dad that's an innovator, you just love.
It's in your blood.
Yeah.
It's in your genetics.
Yeah,
I got it. The truth's in the middle.
It is. It really is. And even, even with us, with our before and after gallery, it has a lot of SEO features to it. If the gallery doesn't get found, it's worthless.
Exactly. That was always my contention. You can have the prettiest website in the world, but if no one ever sees it and no one opens it up,
okay,
then you don't have much. Okay. So what else is going on with you, Candace?
Well, I'm just recovering from breast cancer.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm actively working on that. So
that's good.
Actively working on it every day. Do something to try to recover from the chemotherapy and all the radiation and all of that. So I went on what I would barely call a run before this. We don't have hills in Orlando, so I got a few miles in before that. That's about out.
She went for a 2-mile run, or actually more than 2 miles, today in Manhattan Beach, is what she's telling us. Good for you.
Now I want to get back to Bragg Book for just a minute.
Okay, let's go back to Bragg Book.
All right. So every practice knows they need a before and after gallery, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of like I'm preaching to the choir. They know it, but it's kind of like you're supposed to have a good diet and exercise, right? And it's just like falls on deaf ears half the time because they don't quite know how to have the best performing gallery possible.
Okay.
And so, and you can't really have the best performing gallery possible without the proper tools, right?
Right.
You can't do a proper surgery without the proper scalpel and all of that. So that's one reason we've just really honed in on this niche of before and after software, so that it has all the proper tools. It has the automated SEO. It has a AI for case descriptions. It has that dashboard I was talking about, and then the My Favorites tool. The My Favorites tool is like a user will go in and heart, the ones that they like, and so that becomes a favorites of theirs. And then when the patient goes into the practice for their consultation, they can pull up that favorites features to look at and discuss. So we've done some case studies on those leads. So I'm going to have to look. Like I said, I've been going through recovery from cancer, so I don't always get my numbers perfect. So I'm going to get my numbers perfect.
Excellent.
Here. Case number 1, 77 My Favorites leads generated $1,964 per every dollar spent.
Wow, that's quite a return.
And that was one gallery that they had a lot of photos. They did a lot of gynecomastia, and they really paid attention to their gallery. But they didn't promote the My Favorites. So here's another example of a practice that promoted the My Favorites. And he would tell them, they would come across it on their own. But the other thing he would do would say, hey, when they call for a consultation, he'd say, I would like you to make a My Favorites account so that when you come in, we can talk about the ones that you like and we can talk about your outcome. So that study, 25 leads, became 11 patients for a total of $82,350 in revenue.
Mm-hmm.
That's a substantial amount of income from one tool used right. So like I was saying, so the biggest problem we solve, better than anyone, is getting fully SEO'd before and afters onto your website quickly and easily. Number 2 is helping practice generate leads for a lower ROI cost per lead.
Mm-hmm.
And number 3 would be, have you ever had to rebuild a gallery? Well, Bragg Book moves with you so you don't have to rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very expensive item. So that is my case for Bragg Book. It's where my heart is
and
right
Bragg
now.
Book can be purchased from you and installed in any of their websites.
Yes. And so like with Influx, because they have proprietary kind of programming, we use a subdomain, and it works just as well. So Bragg Book is $199 a month. There's a $499 setup fee, and it's styled through CSS how to match your website, and it looks just like it's a part of your website.
And what's CSS?
Changing a color or a font or something like that, so it'll match your brand a little better.
So it's design.
Yeah.
It's basically design. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's very exciting and very economical, it sounds like.
Yeah.
How would someone get a hold of you?
They can go to braggbookgallery.com. They can go to CandiceCrow.com. They can email me, Candice@CandiceCrow.com.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
So where do you see the future of aesthetics? You've been around, how many years have you been in aesthetics now? 30?
26.
26. So I knew it was pushing 30. Where do you see the future? If you have a crystal ball, I'm sure you do. Where do you see the future going in aesthetics?
Well, I hope we crack down and we get a quality score.
Okay.
That's
So
what I would
higher
hope
quality photography. Before
Higher
and after.
quality photography that is authentic and is credentialed, so that we know that it's not AI generated.
Mm-hmm. And eliminate filters and misleading lighting. And I know the societies feel the same way.
Yeah.
Yep. Misleading patients is not
Yeah.
where it's at.
No, I've kind of devised a quality score, and I don't recall it from memory right now, but like 20 points for lighting, 20 points for doing the proper poses, 20 points for this and that.
Mm-hmm.
10 points for no jewelry, but I have kind of devised that, so maybe we can talk a little bit more about that.
Well, if you'd like to, go right ahead. We can talk about it right now.
Well, how would that work for the society? I know that TouchMD or SNAP, Tyler Terry is interested in that, and I'm going to pursue that.
I would encourage you to pursue it with the societies also,
Okay.
because they want honesty and truth in advertising and that sort of thing. And it really falls into patient safety, because misleading patients leads to unsafe environments and unsafe outcomes.
And we're just totally getting used to that filter, that those smartphones and smart devices put on automatically, and smooth your skin out, and the distortion that you get, So who would I speak with at the society?
Well, it depends on which society, certainly.
Well, of
you
course,
could-
ASAPS first.
The Aesthetic Society, certainly you would contact the president,
Okay.
Tracy Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
And then she has people that are working under her, and they would then direct you to the right people.
Well, maybe you could make an introduction.
I'd be happy
I've
to.
been
Hopefully
talking-
she's going to be watching this broadcast.
Awesome.
She was on the program in Austin. So I'll reach out to Tracy.
And Michael Edwards, I've been talking with. We were
Oh,
on
good.
a panel together, and he's all for it too. So
Absolutely. As a past
starting to
president of
make
the Aesthetic
a little-
Society,
yeah.
Michael's very interested
Yeah.
and committed to patient
So,
safety.
Another thing that's interesting is we've just been awarded the Florida Society of Plastic Surgery website, and we're going to be building a directory using BraggBook. So 120 members will have access to
That's
upload
excellent.
8 photos, and then every year they get to upload 8 more.
Uh-huh.
So we're building a site that will have some pretty heavy search optimization to it and be hopefully a lead generator for our state.
There you go. That's wonderful. Maybe you could do that with the Aesthetic Society or the California Society.
Exactly. Let's
There you
get a
go.
success with Florida first.
Okay. Well,
And
that's
then-
good. And then once you do that, you can take your show on the road.
There we go.
Well, it's been absolutely wonderful having you. And I know you got up at 3 in the morning in Orlando. And are you flying home today?
Yeah, I get in at midnight. Yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah, it was a stretch to do this. It was a stretch, but I couldn't pass it up.
Well, it's been absolutely wonderful having you on the show.
Thank you.
Any other last words you want to share with us and your admiring viewers and listeners?
Just go live life to the fullest.
Sounds like good advice to me.
Yeah.
I want to thank all of you for joining us on this exciting episode of The Technology of Beauty with Candace Crow of Candace Crow Designs. Thank you very much, and be sure to come back every Tuesday for a new edition of The Technology of Beauty, where I have the opportunity to interview the movers and shakers of the beauty business. Have a great week.